So we have a motion to approve the minutes. I'll just ask for that vote again on the record.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Unanimous, so we'll adopt the minutes. With that being taken care of, I'd like to go through the action items. The first is a resolution authorizing the submission of a resolution to the Board of Directors of New York City Health and Hospitals to authorize the Executive Director of Metro Plus Health Plan, Inc. to increase the contract authority for Change Healthcare, Inc. in the amount of $3.1 million, which includes a 15% contingency for a total not to exceed authority amount of $23,285,000, the remaining contract term. Lauren?
Nick?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Nick Wilbur, Director of Risk Adjustment. We are entering our last year. It's on. Yes, it's on. We are entering our last year in our risk adjustment agreement with Change Healthcare. It's been a successful engagement with them. They assist us with making sure that the data we collect and submit to either New York State or CMS is accurate and complete for our members. We had an original do not exceed amount of $21,200,000, and that was entered into about 4 years ago, December of 2021. Since then, obviously, there's been a lot of changes specifically to our membership. We've also had additional membership that has become risk adjusted. So our initial projections of the membership was not quite accurate, and especially in these out years, we have found that, in 2022, 2023, we had significant, even 2024, we had significant additional membership, which caused additional production in terms of chart reviews, analysis, et cetera. So we're asking for this final year of the contract for an additional $3.1 million, which does include a 15% contingency to see us through to the end of the agreement and allow us to do an RFP in this coming year for these services moving forward. Yes, a lot of what I've just mentioned is also here on this slide. These are activities that allow us to, one, be more compliant, submit complete data about our membership to our regulatory agencies. There are also activities that, if done properly and correctly, have yielded additional revenue for the plan. So it is a positive impact from this contract, as we can see right here. There's an average annual spend of $4.6 million, and there tends to be a return on investment of each of those dollars of around 7 times. Here we have the initial contract authority, like I said, it was $20.2 million, and we're asking for an additional $3.1 million, including contingency, for a total D&E of $23.3 million.
So I'll ask if there are any questions. Finding there no questions, I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the resolution's approved. Second resolution, authorizing the Executive Director of Metro Plus Health Plan, Inc. to execute a 1-year best interest contract extension and increase spending authority with Availity LLC for an amount not to exceed $1.5 million for a total not to exceed contract authority amount of $2.5 million.
Good afternoon. So MetroPlus is seeking a best interest extension and increase in spending authority for Availity for electronic data interchange with Availity. As some of you will recall, in 2024, there was a cyber attack around Change Healthcare. And Availity, we brought Availity on board quickly in order to be able to provide these transactions to us and to our providers. And they came on board initially free of charge during this crisis. In December of 2024, the MetroPlus Board of Directors approved a resolution of spending $1 million for a 1-year contract term. And we were seeking to do an RFP in 2025 and send it out for availability and Change Healthcare and others to participate in. But we've been so inundated with health edge related activities, we have not had the opportunity to do that. So we are seeking an additional 1-year contract extension and increased contract authority for 1.5 million for a total of not to exceed 2.5 million to continue working with Availity until we're able to do an RFP in 2026. Next slide. So we do intend to do an RFP in 2026 for EDI transactions. Availity is essential to maintaining service continuity across both our legacy core operating system as well as Health Edge as we go live. And currently, Availity has become our primary EDI gateway with processing over 70% of the transactions. Availity is more cost advantageous to MetroPlus. For CHC, we were paying 27 cents per transaction for 837s and 5 cents per transactions for 835s. We have Availity giving us a bundled rate of 12 cents. And to put it in perspective, we have about a little over 4.7 professional 837 claims and a little under 2 million institutional claims that comes in. So it's a significant cost savings to the plan by sticking with Availity for now. And last slide. And so we're seeking an additional 1-year contract extension and increased spending authority in the amount of 1.5 million for a total not to exceed contract amount of 2.5 million for the full term of the contract.
So again, I'll open it up for questions if anyone has any questions.
I just think it's wonderful that Availity stepped in for free, provided much needed help, and that we're able to give them an additional year of work. I think is wonderful. And they're saving us a lot of money.
Saving us a lot of money too.
Yeah,
If there are no further questions, I'd put a motion to approve.
so moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. With that, I'd like to take a second and go into executive session. Do we need a motion for that?
I think you do need to
Yeah.
move to go into executive
Okay,
session.
so I'd like to make a motion to move to go into executive session. Second.
Second.
All in
For
favor?
everybody who does not need to be here,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
everybody who does not need to be here for executive session.
We're
should-
staying. You two are staying. All of you are.
You will have it already texted Holly.
Okay. So now we're going to end executive session and return.
Wait on the mic before recording.
Wait, what? Oh, okay.
So now we'll be ending the executive session and return to our regular session of the board. With that said and done, I'd like to go to the last item on our agenda, which is adopting the annual operating budget for calendar year 2026. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lauren.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll review the 2026 calendar year budget overview. This first slide here includes the personnel services, which is our team headcount, which is a decrease of $20.5 million or 8.5% from 2025 current budget. And then our OTPS personnel, other than personnel services, which is our direct contracts, is increasing of $20.7 million or 13.4%. I'll speak a little bit about what is driving that. But as we go through, you could see that the FY 25 versus FY 26 are essentially flat. Our industry in 2025 has had some significant headwinds that are coming down the pipeline. And it starts with the fact that we have the HR1 bill in front of us. New York State has taken initiatives to mitigate as much as they can. And then there are additional headwinds in 2027 and 2028 that will continue to tighten up this budget. But from a conservative, prudent standpoint, from the organization, we are presenting a essential flat budget year over year for 2026. Next slide. So this slide here gives you a bridge of the PS budget of where we started in 25 at $241.8 million. The year over year efficiency adjustment is an increase from 5 to 7.5% efficiency, driving an additional $3.9 million of savings to our budget. We typically run at Metro Plus between 8 and 9% vacancy, so we were comfortable increasing up from 5 to 7.5. The vacancy eliminations of 14.6 are a efficiency adjustment that we did as an organization to assure that the FTEs we have as part of our budget are in fact needed and are needed and are right for the division's setup. So that is a savings of $14.6 million. We have also the year over year Project Edge reclass. So as we go through the implementation for Project Edge, our organization is booking their time as they are working through the getting us to go live, and that is another $2 million projection for 2026 as we go through waves 2 and 3. So from 241 to 221.3 is the requested FY26 personnel budget. Next slide. For our capital expense proposal, this is in addition to the PS and OTPS expenditures totaling $48.8 million. This includes the implementation for Project Edge at $47.5 million. This encompasses temporary resources needed for the completion of Project Edge. We also included in here the BPAS implementation that will be happening in 2026. There are an estimated number of temporary resources across the organization that we'll be looking to bring on for functional leads, SMEs, project management, regulatory, and QA support to have a successful go live. And we are also starting to roll off some of our current implementation vendors and bringing them in-house for the Wave 2 and Wave 3 launches. The cost that sits behind industry rate cards for these positions does range between $85 and $250 per hour, so is significantly higher than our in-house teams, but come with a specialized experience in implementations of this size. In addition to that, we have just generalized hardware, furniture, and data center equipment, and reaching our total of $48.8 million. Next slide. The membership projections for 2026 do come with some changes, even as a result of the HR1 bill. The largest line of business that will be impacted in 2026 is the Essential Plan. Starting in July of 2026, the EP5 population, which represents about 45,000 of our lives, will no longer be eligible for the program. And so those lives will be coming out of our forecast plan. In addition, we have a commercial line of business, Metro Plus Gold, that is continuing to increase month over month, as well as we are ending the managed Medicare open enrollment season and seeing that our projections for Medicare are standing up. Across the other Medicaid lines of business, now that public health emergency is over, eligibility requirements are being tightened, and we're seeing that at the state level, even through our recertification efforts. We're anticipating a largely stable year, as we have seen in the past year with Medicaid, small tightening reductions, but nothing as large of an impact as what we're anticipating for Essential Plan. New York State still needs to move the waiver from 1332 into 1331 in order to access the trust fund money to keep EP 1 through 4 going for at least the next forecasted 2 to 3 years. But at this point, the state has not indicated that there is any concern with that. And, we have seen them issue 2026 premium rates, which are embedded into our forecast values. So our grand total for 2026 membership is a reduction from where we are today, totaling 629,000
At
lives.
about 50,000 lives.
Yeah, we're about 690 right now. Next slide. So this slide here gives you a total book of business review.
Just for context
yeah.
thing, what was the starting Medicaid population at the beginning of the year in New York State versus now? How much did the whole
the base
state shrink?
Let's see, I think was pre-COVID was 2.5 million. And during COVID, it went up to 3 million. Now we are back to 2.5 million and remain stable at 2.5 million.
How many were lost in 25?
2025, I think we're remaining at 16% of the market share, and that has been stable.
Okay, so the whole market then plunged 16%.
The whole market went from 3 million during COVID to 2.5 million.
Oh, sorry. So the whole market
down
decreased.
500,000.
So about 500,000. Okay, and we're on par.
We're on par because
the
we
losses.
monitor percentage as the market share to the New York City. We are always stable at 16%, and that has been our experience so far. Yeah, not much fluctuation.
All right, so I think that's one of the most important points, right? It's not easy for a plan to see the numbers going down. We always want to see them going up, but some of it is just the pool of eligibles.
I
So
got myself confused. The state subsidy, I thought was going to take care of EP5. You said it's EP 1 to 4.
EP5 becomes ineligible, and
they're not going
they're
to be.
right. And so the subsidies for QHP at the end of this year, will also be going away. And so that will be affecting those folks in EP5 that may have picked up a tax credit that moved into QHP, right? Those are no longer available to them. So they will have a, significant out-of-pocket experience going from, a no-cost health insurance program to premiums on a monthly basis of hundreds of dollars.
Okay, so Sally, they had to give up under a very complicated regulatory framework. They had to give up EP5 to be able to fund EP 1 through 4. As long as 5 continued to exist, they weren't able to access the trust fund. By letting 5 go, they're now able to access that $10 billion, which will hopefully fund 1 through 4 for at least a couple of years.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to the budget income slide here. In a total expense authority, including capital expense, we are requesting a total budget authority of $444.8 million. That is a 5% reduction from 2025 budget request. There, I'm going to just orient you to the slide, but the top line of the total premium income on the PMPM level, we are seeing increases in the rates from the industry standard perspective. The state, does issue the plans, regionalized rate setting for a large majority of our business. And then we do have bids that go in for our Medicare, our QHP, and our large group filing. So those are all taken into consideration. with the loss of the volume in membership coming out for EP5 and the tightening in some other lines of business, that is, reducing our overall premium income by 3% in 2026. Our total hospital expenses, again, follows the same suit, is projected to be down about 3.6%. We followed the same state trend, market share trend from our actuaries' support and advisement through our experience in our data. So in our PS and OTPS expenditures, it's a flat budget, $396 million as compared to the 395.8 it was last year. We still continue to make dollars on our investments and grants, not as leaps and bounds as we did in 2025, but we know the interest rates have come down, and we're still projecting about $45 million in the future. So with that in tow, including our total admin ask plus our capital expense, our total expense authority request is $444.8 million, which is a $24.1 million change from last year. And that is where you're seeing the large savings in our administrative ask is coming out of the capital budget request. There is there's more targeted need for Project Edge in 2026 as we now are moving through the waves. Next slide. This slide shows you where we were in 26 versus where we're projected in 26 versus where we were in 25. And you could see it largely, again, stable year targeting the 1% margin line. We're at 0.8 versus the solid 1% we had in 2025. Admin as well, staying essentially flat, even with those less members being in a flat budget year, taking into consideration the savings components. Our admin loss ratio is still hovering around 8.3% for 2026. And then medical loss ratio is at 90.7%. This is inclusive of our VBP partnerships. And even in, the years where Medicaid was in a decline, we still have shared savings with our partners. Next slide.
Does anybody have any additional questions?
I have a question about the capital budget. 16 million of additional personnel. Was a component of the $48 million?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
Thank you.
It's baked into the 47.5 on the top line in the slide.
Are there any further questions? If not, I'd ask for a motion to adopt the budget for 2026. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's adopted. With that, Lauren, I'll give it to you for the financial report.
Very good. Okay, so for Q3 2025, we ended third quarter with just under 700,000 members, and our total revenue was just under $4 billion, representing a 9% year-over-year increase. Excuse me. A key driver of that growth is the implementation, again, of an MCO tax effort in January 2025 that contributed to 5 percentage points of the overall increase. We are also receiving NIR and New York State Equity Reform Social Care Needs funding, and that has been in effect since January of 2025. Excuse me. Our medical expenses resulted in an MLR of 91.1%. You'll have to give me just 1 minute.
You want some more?
It's sorry, I had a cough. I thought it was under control. I'm not feeling it. Okay, let's try again. Oh, thank you.
Lauren, tell me if you want me to take over.
Let me just try this one side. So our medical expenses result in an MLR of 91.1%. That is down 0.5% from last quarter. Contributing to that slight decrease in our MLR our strategic initiatives in QHP, we're gaining traction. We are seeing a slight weakening in Medicare, but that is due to a Medicare Flex card utilization. Our ALR stands at 7.5%, and our Q3 operating income margin is at 3%. That is inclusive of a 1.4 return on investment. Favorable prior period reconciliation of 3%, resulting in a positive income margin of 6% bottom line. Okay. So on rates, for January 2026, we have received new rates for EP and Child Health Plus. We received an overall 8% increase, and that's mostly due to an increase in our regional risk adjustment program. I do want to point out that the state did lower their actual base rate range from high to middle, but overall, even with that change, there's still an overall 8% increase. The rate increase for Child Health Plus is actually a decrease of 14%, and that is again due to the acuity of our population. This is the first year that Child Health Plus has acuity rating in our rates in our premium rates. Prior to 2023, our CHIP rates were individually bid to DFS. Now with a regionalized premium score, we are still performing better, even with that decrease of 14%.
Nick, this is now on your to-do list.
For April, we received April updates to the 2024 rates, both for lines of business, Medicaid, and HARP. There was a slight increase, 0.4% in Medicaid and a 0.6% decrease. There was also updates to TANF that outweighed changes to other rate cells. So this is just basic updates to medical trend and dual population assumptions. For MLTC and MAP, there were very slight rate revisions that were increases that were due to updates in nursing home benchmarks, public health emergency unwind, and updates to behavioral health benchmark rates. These were nominal changes, but they were increases.
What does it mean when the state lowered the actuarial rate range from high to middle?
So the state has the range. And so what they have the flexibility given their own budget ceilings, the global cap. They have to fund the state premiums for the plans at least at the bottom of the range. But if they believe the acuity of the population, new benefits that are coming in will create experience that should warrant them to move up the range, they will set it at a higher threshold. For as far as back as I can remember, Medicaid has been set at the bottom of the range. EP, given its funding values, has always been set higher. Now, given the limitation, they have started to reduce that.
Okay, thank you.
Administrative expenses. So for the 9 months ending in September 30th, we have seen favorable experience similar to what we have seen in the last 2 quarters. It is just amplified. As of September 30th, we have a total admin expense of $273 million. We are $23 million, or roughly 8% favorable to budget. Oh, thank you. 8% favorable to budget. So of the 23 million, 14.6 was driven by personnel, and 8.4 was driven by other than personnel spend, our vendor spend. PS favorability. is favorable due to the elimination of those vacant roles, as we have been, having a very active conversation around our administrative oversight. Our OTPS programs, there are two programs that are driving the spend savings here. Two, in particular, the transition age youth, and also our loan repayment program with H&H. These two programs are anticipated to pick up spend in Q4, but we'll have some savings through the 2025 calendar year. Regulatory reporting to forecast. Revenue net of pass-throughs was about 4.4% higher. We're seeing our expenses are about 0.5% lower than expected, essentially on target. So in Q3, we have a current year margin of 3%. As I mentioned, that's inclusive of the 1.4% investment income dollars. After we take into account the prior period generates a 6% overall margin. This slide here gives you the 24 Q3 versus 25 Q3 numbers. The right box showing $116 million versus the left side of the box, which is the $210.2 million margin. The increase from last year, which is that orange box on the left side, is driven by our prior period. We did have favorability come through Q3, and there's three main drivers. One being the release of a penalty of the EIS to MCOR comparison worth about $32 million by itself. There was IBNR release, that is our conservatism in our claims payment liability, and then additional revenue that was unintended at year-end close. So those combining three items are pushing up our Q3 results. So for assets, our current asset total is about $2.8 billion. This is increased by 10.7% as compared to last year. The biggest driver is that we are receiving money from the state regarding outpatient UPL conversion for state fiscal year 2024. We're also receiving additional money for inpatient UPL reconciliation of 2023, of which has been paid out in 2025. There are safety net directed payments that are being received from the state and from the federal share, of which we have already made substantial payments to the providers, and then, of course, the MCO tax. We also are receiving NIRE funding and Social Care Network funding, which total almost $130 million together. We also have collected the $42 million in Encounter data earn back, and a $4 million for an enrollment cap from the state. Lots of money coming through the state that passes to H&H and other safety net systems to assure that they are, that they have their payments for their cost of care. Our investments. So our investment portfolio is still holding strong. We have over $1 billion in this portfolio. And on average, our portfolio maturity is about 1 year and 6 months. With an average of 3.65 return. Overall, our interest rate has come down by 50 basis points. That was 2 cuts of 25 basis points in September and November, bringing the benchmark rate down to 3.75. The market is still pretty unpredictable. And there's it's very volatile around the uncertainty on the impact of tariffs and shutdowns. So we'll continue to monitor the trends closely. And despite all of the federal cuts and the interest cuts, we were able to deliver $50 million in net income earned for 9 months of 2025. So on the membership trend, I think this is what we were alluding to before, but you can see how stable it's been in 25. It's the dark blue line that's running across. We're essentially, sitting at 689,000 lives all year. Some months you pop up, some months come down 1,000, but essentially across our entire book of business, it remains a stable book of business. So, and then in market share, again, you could see where, as the base shifts a bit, especially in Medicaid, as being just mentioned, we are still holding our 15.9% overall market share. We have seen a slight uptick in our SNP market share. So that is a good trend we'll keep an eye on. We had taken a loss in HARP lives along with the rest of the region. That did drop our overall market share down to 16.4. But now, given since Q3 has closed, we're starting to see the HARP lives pick back up. Across the other lines of business, Medicare, remains to be a very small market share. But, we are also keeping an eye on CHIP, making sure that remains competitive. And then on recertifications, the current state recertification average is 80.5%. We typically hover right around that mark. I think for the last 3 months of this quarter, when this chart was put into place, there's some completion that has now come to light on our SSI population. And I think, Lila, you confirmed earlier, as of October 25, as of today, looking back to October, these numbers now stand at 80. And then for risk adjustment, we've had a strong performance. This is the acuity of our overall population across the lines of business. And we have seen, increases in our essential plan and QHP lines of business. We've had success in Medicare and are continuing to see the Medicare line of business perform as we continue our collaborations across our provider partners. We have made sure that we take on different workflows, making sure that there are communications where members need to either engage in care, assure that their conditions are being met and documented, and that we are targeting outreach to assure that the members are engaged on their own journey. We've also successfully completed our first ever Medicare RADV audit. That was new for the organization. We also have a QHP RADV audit ongoing. That deadline, is just a couple weeks away. But typically, we do have a strong response rate. So, we do partner with an outside vendor, and across all of these audits, we're about 90 to 96% compliant.
Okay. Thank you.
Apologize that I had a thing go on there.
Does anybody have any other further questions? If not, I'd like to thank everybody and adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I should give everybody vitamin C now.